When I say snapdragons, you might think of the 6-pack of annual bedding flowers that you get at the local nursery, but they are nothing like the long-stemmed, beautiful flowers that you can grow for cut flower arrangements. If you want to grow super productive, long-stemmed, cutting snapdragons, use the 5 tips in this video. I'm Angela from Growing in the Garden. My garden is in Mesa, Arizona. I want to help you succeed even if you're gardening in tough conditions. The first tip is to choose cut flower varieties and start from seed indoors. The nursery varieties are often bred for their compact size and then treated with growth regulators to keep them small. For long stems, you'll need to start your own seeds indoors. Learn about the different varieties and when they bloom to pick the best one for your climate. Choose a few different varieties of seeds, that way you can have blooms at different times throughout the season. Here in the low desert, they bloom from fall all the way through spring, but once summer comes, it gets too hot for them. Here are a few different types to choose from. Chantilly is an early bloomer. Madame Butterfly blooms are gorgeous. They have ruffle-edged, double blooms, and they're super productive and long blooming. Potomac varieties like warm temperatures and long days. Rocket snapdragons will bloom last in the season. I plant a wide variety from all of those types. Snapdragon seeds are tiny, but they aren't hard to grow. Plant 1 or 2 seeds in each cell and then cover with vermiculite. Snapdragon seeds need light to germinate. The seedlings will emerge in just a few days. Thin down to 1 seedling, and when the plants have several sets of true leaves, it's time to plant them outside. The second tip is to plant at the right time for your climate. Snapdragons are very cold hardy and will survive temperatures down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Start seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before your planting date. In cold winter areas, plant outside a month before your last frost date. In mild winter areas, get them planted in the fall. Here in the low desert, I start seeds indoors from June through December, and I can begin planting outside in mid-September all the way through February. But the earlier you get them planted in the season, the more blooms you'll have. Plant in good soil. Prepare the soil before planting by amending heavily with compost and worm castings. The third tip is to pinch them back when they're young so you get lots of blooms. Here's how to do it. Once the young transplant has several sets of leaves, clip off the top, leaving just 3 sets of true leaves. You'll get lots of stems, which means lots more flowers. The fourth tip is to provide support. These tall stems grow towards the sky. If they tip over, they'll bend towards the light and you can't straighten them. The easiest way to provide support is with flower netting. I put 2 layers in place and the stems grow up through the supports. It's simple and easy to do. Put the supports in place when you plant and put the netting over the supports. As the flowers grow up through it, if you need an additional layer, put that on top before the flowers get to that point. The flowers grow up through the netting and have tall, straight stems. The fifth and final tip is to harvest the stems correctly and at the right time. Snapdragons are a true cut and come again flower. The more you harvest, the more they'll produce. For the longest vase life, harvest when the first bottom flower opens. Flowers will continue to open, but once the bees pollinate them, they begin forming seeds and the blossoms will fall off. Make the first cut of the central stem almost at ground level. Make additional cuts at the base of the stem. Adding flower food to the vase will help flowers continue to open. If you harvest early enough, they will last 7 to 9 days in the vase. Remove lower leaves and place in clean water. Growing tall, beautiful snapdragons is easier than you think. Use these 5 tips and you'll have stems for days.